hands together for Brian Stechschulte.
Thanks, Monica. Since I've started comedy, I've realized you really need to stick out to be memorable. And I'm a white guy from Ohio named Brian. And I'm thinking, I think I've seen him before, but I can't quite place it. I got an uncanny resemblance to the guy on the men's restroom placard. Which is real frustrating. So at least like once a week, someone will come up to me that I've never met before. They'll be like, hey, you look so familiar. Where do I know you from? And I'm like, probably at any time in the last 2,000 years of history. It's taken me 2 millennia of privilege to reach this level of mediocrity. Now when I meet people, to avoid confusion, I just introduce myself as not Kyle. But I don't know why I'm so afraid of being just average, right? If you just think back in history, all the average men that achieve greatness. Okay, good point. It's about how many I counted too. But yeah, that's the thing about being average. Most people are just average. That's how averages work. Which is really weird. So like, last week I saw this study that said 78% of people, so that's 78 people out of 100 of them, for you people that don't do math. So 78% of people think they're smarter than the average person. And if it hasn't clicked yet, you're not in that 78%. So at this point, I'm just embracing it, right? I just embrace the averageness. In fact, I'm so average that if I was your Uber, you'd be outside waiting for a gray Toyota Camry. Like a 2011. I'm so average that if I was a sex position, I'd be this one. Not tonight, honey, I'm too tired. That one hits hard to a lot of crowds. Let's see, so I got out of the military not too long ago, and I decided that it was about time to get a job, like one does when they're in their 30s and they need to pay for things. Like a $500 Lego replica of the Millennium Falcon. By far the best purchase Drunk Brian has ever made. So I started interviewing for jobs, and I found like that's one instance, with my military background that I actually stuck out from the crowd. Well, it's mostly just the veterans' preference. So those of you not familiar with veterans' preference, here's how it works. So you have 2 highly qualified candidates for a position, and all things being equal, they choose the veteran over both of those candidates. So I was getting a bunch of interviews, going through the process, and I realized that it was like a lot of the same questions over and over. It was, what's your biggest strength? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Why do you look so uncomfortable in a suit and tie? And it was like always the same questions, almost like they were Googling the top 10 interview questions. So then it hit me. The interviewers prepared even less for the interview than I did. But after a while, I finally got an offer, and I was skeptical at first. I was like, wait a minute, is this another one of those thank you for your service moments? So I asked the guy, I was like, what was it that got me the interview? Well, how did I stick out? He's like, and I was like, was it my great organizational skills, my innate leadership ability? He was like, no, it was none of that. But you did stick out. You were the only one to pass the drug test. You want to start at the deep fryer or at the drive-thru? Thank you, my name's Brian.